This century, there are a variety of human rights that are at risk from climate change, and I want to talk about what those human rights are. If you're new to the world of human rights, a lot of this might be new information for you. Human rights-based analysis to climate change is important because it highlights what are the things that are at risk today from climate change, and maybe can help us put together a plan as to how we can protect human dignity in the years and decades ahead. Let's talk about the right to life. The right to life is a fundamental human right protected by the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and it protects our right to have a dignified life. There's plenty of analysis now from human rights experts about the risks to the right to life and the risks to our lives, our human lives, because of climate change. There's a very important case from the Human Rights Committee, which is a treaty body that monitors compliance with the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. They have a very important case from 2020 involving claims from someone who was fleeing Kiribati, which is a small island state in the Pacific, and who was seeking to stay in New Zealand on the grounds that his life was threatened from climate change if he stayed in Kiribati. This is the Teitiota case, and the Human Rights Committee held that while the petitioner in this case, while his life was not immediately threatened, it was possible that in some amount of time, maybe 10 years, his life would be threatened if he stayed in Kiribati. This is considered kind of a landmark judgment in the human rights space as opening the door to claims related to the right to life. Another fundamental human right that is at grave risk this century from climate change is the right to self-determination. And that's actually something that I'm studying. The right to self-determination protects our ability to choose our destiny in the world with others, with collectives, with peoples. And it protects the right of peoples to decide for themselves freely and as they wish how they want to live together in the international system in terms of their political, economic, social, and cultural lives. This critical human right is tethered to territory in many cases, and we know that climate change is going to have significant impacts on territory and on natural resources. And so one of the things that I'm researching is how these impacts might affect our ability to collectively choose our destinies. I also believe very strongly that the right to self-determination provides us a vehicle to choose how we want to live in a climate system that's no longer stable. Part of what I'm also researching is how we might trigger the exercise of this right in new ways to promote human freedom in an era of a rapidly changing climate system. Another right that's at risk and that might also offer us some kind of protection is the right to a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment. This right is now being incorporated as well into national laws in a variety of different places. I think it provides an exciting way for people to try and force change nationally with their national governments by enforcing this right. Yet another human right that's at risk is the right to culture, and that's because cultural practices are going to be impacted heavily by climate change, particularly for indigenous peoples. As climate change impacts get worse, people may be forced to give up certain cultural practices or ways of life that they may have had for centuries, and that will impact and affect their ability to maintain a culture.